Brought to you by Epic Adventure Outfitters.
All right, so on the operating room table today, we have the Story Till Now's Gladiator. I don't think there is another Gladiator out there that has actually been used as much as this. People may have thrown 60s and more money and built great show rigs, but this has seen everything BC has to offer and left the paint behind to prove it. So we're gonna gut it today and update it so that it can do another year of trail bashing and wrecking and see where we go from here. Okay, so we're just getting to the end of finishing up the front. We just kept running into more things that I figured I might as well deal with it now and make it better, or I'm gonna have to fix it later on the trail. I'd rather do it on a hoist. So we did a complete refresh. We've got in the new control arms, the new Teraflex Alpine IR bushings, which do a really good job surviving up here in the Great Canadian North. We've got the Falcon shocks, 3.5 adapt, a new set of 4.5-inch coils, Teraflex's new massive front tie rod bar, so that'll be nice and quiet, with the conversion kit for the Nexus steering stabilizer to be up out of the way of harm's way, because we know Sean's going to try and kill it. Teraflex Trackbar, new Trackbar bracket, a new Teraflex drop brackets so that all of our angles are in the right place for a nice ride and drive and handling Gladiator. As you can see in the rear, we managed to get all the arms put in, which we always do before we drop everything else. And then we've stripped out all the springs and the trackbar bracket, and had the first coat of paint go to help make it look a little prettier. You know how Sean's a bit of a princess. 3.5 adapt shocks up here. Damn, they look good. Another 4 Alpine IR arms with the independent rotational bushing. Lifetime warranty on those bushings. Another updated 4.5-inch fresh coil. Readjusted and routed all wiring. Cleaned it all up. Did a little refresh on some rusty parts. The new Teraflex bump stops. A mighty fine piece of equipment there. And this beautiful piece of engineering, which is Teraflex's Trackbar bracket for the Gladiator. One of the nicest pieces I've seen in a long time. New set of Swaybar links, ones that won't make noise. All in all, this thing's gonna be ready to do some serious wheeling. If you don't have apparel from dirtyanddangerous.com, do you even wheel?
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday we basically got all the suspension buttoned up. Landon's over there just putting the final wiring in for the adapt shocks till we start working on the controller and wiring on the inside of the truck. As you can see here, the module mounts to a nice bracket that's gonna go under the seat. So there's the module with all the sensors in it. And then wires are ran out to the battery, up to the switch, which is this beautiful OEM style looking switch. Then on the passenger side of the vehicle, we are going to hook up this wire to the factory's auxiliary key on power wire, so it always knows it's on and ready to rock and roll. So now that we've completed everything on Sean's vehicle and we have all the new suspension in, we should go for road tests, see how it drives, see how it operates. We're gonna take Sean's Gladiator for a drive here.
Not used to being in the passenger seat.
He's gonna be in the passenger seat for a change. Here we've got the switch for the soft firm auto ride, or they probably should say Cadillac on the top. And then if you have the app hooked up, it'll give you all kinds of readings. Let's see what this thing's gonna do as we can monitor.
The switch for me?
the Falcon eAdapt app, you can actually monitor the different sensors they've added to the controller. So you can see like your stopping G-force, forward or side to side movement. And that's how they come up with the adjustments for the adapt. So while you're going, or if you just flick it to soft or just to firm, it lets you know that it's set to firm by being all red, and then silver being for soft. And then adapt, it just does its own thing. It is a drastic improvement over the way Sean's Jeep used to drive. There is zero noise. There's a lot less body roll. You can actually slide it around some turns if you're careful, because it is a very heavily loaded Jeep. But all in all, I'd love to drive something like this all the time.
So here at Epic, we do things a little different than everybody else. There is no cookie cutter option when people come in here. We basically cater to each person's needs because everyone's different. Whether they're going to be weekend wheeling, or they're going to be overlanding or overloading, or they just want to have a really cool vehicle to post on Instagram and never leave pavement, it happens. We all know it does. Why do we do this? Just so we can help cater specific to what people's needs are. We're not here specifically to make money. We're here to make sure people make proper informed decisions and don't have to do things multiple times. Whether you're building a vehicle for Instagram, weekend wheeling, racing, or overlanding, all the parts, in my opinion, will be different. And I've been a mechanic almost 20 years and ran suspensions on Jeeps from almost every of the major manufacturers. And I've had issues with all of them. Everyone has pros and cons. Main thing, I don't want to spend all the time doing extra maintenance and repairing things on my vehicle if I'm using it all the time. What we did for Sean in this video is we pulled out the suspension that he ran for a year and used quite a lot in many wet, dirty terrain. So Sean's not a mechanic. He has a very busy schedule. He does not have time to always be having to fix things because he goes out filming like twice a week, guaranteed. And then the rest of the time he's video editing so we can have these videos. So we pulled out the suspension he had in there, which did the job up until now, and we chose to get him set up with Teraflex and Falcon so we could get a suspension in that he could more or less set and forget. Up here in Canada, we deal with harsher climates than a lot of places. They dump salt and brine and chemicals on our roads that will rot even the nicest piece of machinery. What we found over the years is the only thing out of all the shocks, regardless of performance, that holds up is the hard anodized coating they've put on these Falcon shocks. Not to mention, they do put a 3-year warranty on them, which is longer than any other quality shock brand. I know some brands out there have a lifetime warranty on their shock, but those are usually like the really white-bodied cheap shocks. And a really good warranty that you gotta replace all the time doesn't really help if the product is no good. So I'll admit that in the beginning, the Falcons, when they first came out for the JL and Gladiator, they were a bit stiff for my liking. And over time, I helped them with a bunch of tunes. We did a bunch of different switches on my first silver JL. And thus, there's now an SP2 version, so you can set the full range, softer or firmer, before you even get into the adjustments up top, which has just been a comfortable ride. Our last Gladiator, we pulled out a set of Kings out of it and swapped in the Falcons when they were available, and it seriously made a huge difference in our style of wheeling up here and driving, because we like to go from driving aggressively on road to nice, soft, and quick off-road. So that said, we stand by the Falcons. They have never let us down. I think we've had to warranty one over the entire 4 years we've been doing and pushing Falcons. So to me, they're doing their job. All the other shocks, I love King shocks, they're a great shock. They're designed as a race shock. If you put them on your daily driver, in about 6 months up here in Canada, they will be corroded, and that kind of hurts when you spend the money you do to get them. So when it comes to arms and joints, most people never need to change the arms for what they're doing with their wheeling. The factory arms will suit most people's needs, and you won't really have to worry about it coming loose or causing you any driving characteristics for many years. People that want to get a little more articulation out of it or want a tougher arm that they don't have to worry about landing on and scraping, they like to change their arms. There are many arms and joints out there on the market. I've ran pretty much all of them. So I've ran, on one of my first JKs, I ran a full rock crawler kit with their new joints they have. They have probably the most amount of articulation you can get, but they did require a lot of servicing up here. I was maintaining or replacing them every 6 months to a year. That gets tiring. Then I've had Johnny joints in mine where you just can't get much grease into them, or they end up getting a little loose and you gotta end up tightening. And then came the new Teraflex IR bushing, which I ran it for a year on my last Eco Diesel, and it ran great. My articulation was smooth and quiet. It never got loose. I never had to change them, to the point we've pulled those arms out and put them in our buddy Mike's white Eco Diesel Gladiator, and there's nothing wrong with them at all. So they come with a lifetime warranty on that bushing. No, the bushing is not made in the States, but that doesn't mean it's a bad part. Johnny joints and rock crawler joints, they all work amazing in a race application. We're just building more of the vehicles here for a daily driving, adventuring application. So we need them to be a little more longevity, and getting a little bit extra flex out of something is not going to help most of the rigs we're building today here. There is a huge difference between products coming first to market and products that have taken a lot of time to engineer a product. I can show that with basically some of just simple as the bump stop from Teraflex that is now extended. It bolts to a plate easily. You're not fighting. All the bolts line up. If you need to add or subtract a ½ inch of space in here so you get the proper amount of articulation, it's very easy to do. You could do it with hand tools in about 5 minutes. Front or rear, love it. As for Swaybar links, Teraflex's Swaybar link is very similar to the OEM Swaybar link. Now, that said, if I was desert racing or running the King of the Hammers, or I live near Johnson Valley or Moab, would I be running this joint if I was out on the trails all the time? Probably not. There is a chance you could rip the ball end out of this, but we're not doing that. We're up here in Canada where we're on the roads a lot, we're on service roads a lot. It is wet, it's mucky, and that chemical I told you about on the road. So we need to keep that out. So these are sealed, both ends. They last a long time. They don't make noise. I've replaced very few of them over the years. So all in all, it's about what works for each person, and everybody has something a little bit different. If I was doing more rock crawling, and like I said, more hardcore wheeling on a regular basis, I'd probably put in like a heavy duty Heim jointed Swaybar link, or even a Curry Any-Rock or something, depending on what my needs were at the time. US versus Chinese made parts. United States, just because it's made in the States does not mean it's the best part. Also, just because it's made in China, or part of it made in China, does not mean it's the worst part. Typically here at Epic, we try and use as much USA made product as possible, but it's not always possible. Most wheels out there are made overseas. It's just the way it is currently. Teraflex uses a broad range of countries to make components and pieces to their system, but it's all engineered in the States. A lot of it is assembled in Utah. Quality control is a big thing. If you think all the parts for the Jeep is made in the States, it's not. So there is no way to pretty much buy all American. We try our best here because we do stand behind most American-made parts are the greatest parts you can get, but that is not always the case. I could go on to many brands that I won't use anymore that are American exclusive brands, and they give you guys a bad name. All said and done, if you drove up here and you wanted to go weekend wheeling and you wanted to do hardcore off-roading, this is not the kit I'm likely going to recommend you get. We're gonna go a whole different ball game, which is why we're not so much a retail establishment as we are a build shop that you come in, we consult, and we guide you through the process so that we do what's best suited for your needs. We did what we thought was best suited for Sean's needs, and only time will tell. So we'll see what it's like next year when we see his rig at this time. Maybe I'll have to pull out all the Teraflex parts because they didn't handle Sean's abuse. Who knows? I'd be lucky if it gets washed again for the rest of the year. But all in all, his videos are amazing. I enjoy watching them. It's a good way to relax when I get home from a long day of putting these Jeeps together. That's why we do this thing, is so we can inspire and get people out there to go enjoy an adventure. Because even during the pandemic, or before the pandemic existed, we all just wanted to get away from mass groups of people because it's not as fun. We want to be on the mountaintops, we want to be in the desert, we want to be in the canyons. And how are we going to get there? Jeep. 4-letter word, enough said.